Nollywood's freshest thriller, The Black Book, recently dropped on Netflix. And we are fans of thrillers, so we could not just resist diving into this movie.
Of course.
With an all-star cast, and our main character here is kind of similar to John Wick. And we signed up for a gripping tale of corruption and injustice. But was it worth the hype, and did it deliver? Let's find out.
This story kicks off with the kidnap of Professor Craig's husband and baby. Professor Craig, played by Bimbo, is targeted for her stance on anti-corruption. During the mission, a criminal gets caught, but is freed by corrupt policemen to divert attention. They kill and frame an innocent young man, Damilola, who matches the description of the real culprit.
After his death, his father is determined to get justice for him, and along the way, his past resurfaces, and he needs the help or the support of both old allies and also a new ally, which is a journalist here called Vic. So this story, from the opening scene, I was already hooked, like the first act of the film. But when we got to like the second act, where he was already on a mission to deliver justice and catch these criminals, I just felt like the story just fell off, and the narrative with the journalist, I just felt like was unnecessary, and they were just packing a lot of things inside the story. From that second act where he was already trying to nail these criminals, and towards the end, I didn't really feel the story as much, but it was just action-packed. There were not a lot of fight scenes though, but it was okay.
I want to say this movie left me at the edge of my seat. There were some intrigues here and there, which I'll leave for you to find out because I won't give any spoilers here. However, the plot and the pacing, because I always go into movies blind. I was expecting some sort of police brutality movie, but the plot quickly veered from that, and in a way, I still appreciate that. Because it really just showed like, okay, you are one to talk, you have been in bed with the same people, like while I came to your doorstep now, so what are you going to do about it? Because you have also played this part before. So yeah, this is how it feels, because it was kind of ironic, his relationship with Victoria, then his son dying. It was just really interesting, kind of. I won't say the movie dragged on.
No, not at all.
Drag on at all, because even when it was only 1 hour, I was like, oh wow, 1 hour already, because this movie ran for 2 hours plus. So yeah, I think the pacing was okay. I like a good plot. I want to say the plot was all over the place.
Well, not really all over the place, but I was expecting that it should just focus on him having his revenge, because at some point it just flipped to being about the journalist, not about his son anymore.
What was told was like, okay, this father is trying to seek justice for his son, and it quickly veered from that part. Like his son was even left at the background at a point. I was thinking that he will fight tooth and nail, like a father's love, but it quickly veered off to another part. So the theme of this movie is corruption in all sectors. Like I said earlier, Edima, the deacon, was one to talk because he had been in the bed with these people before. So there's a way that corruption just goes around some way, one way or the other. And I won't say it was karma, but it just shows how the corruption is really eating deep into the system. Like even the general at a point was boasting how he can get away with stuff.
Even for the journalist part of the story too, there's own corruption there. Her boss, the editor there, is also very corrupt and working with these people also.
The number one thing that was actually shown in this movie was the profiling. Profiling is widespread in Nigeria, whether you're male, female, but I think in this part, the males get it harder. Profiling was really talked about in the beginning part of this movie, and I liked how it was constantly repeated to show you how the entire brainwashing and everything enters.
When they were announcing on the radio a couple of times that, oh, the male dread dark in complexion, I was like, okay, the first time. Second time, okay. But already like the third time, and they kept on saying over and over, I was like, it's not enough. I just felt like repeating that line over and over again was not really necessary. I like that theme a lot.
I loved it. It built emotions for me. Like, okay, if this boy is going to be a tiger, because the first time they said it, he sprang up from the water where he was swimming with his father, and he flipped his dread. He is tall and he fit the profile. He was trying to evoke emotions on the audience, and I like that very important detail.
This film was actually the directorial debut of Edith F. Young, and I think that he did very well, because from the portrayals of the characters and everything was just going tap, 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 tap in this movie. There was no slacking or any slogging behind from the acting and the camera, and the pacing was just good. So I think he did a really wonderful job, so big up to him for that.
For the directing, there were some flops, like some scenes were crazy, but I think Edith did a good job, because while watching this movie you can tell that this movie is trying to show a strength of storytelling in an African and Nigerian setting. Well done to Eddie team. So I would rate this movie a 3 out of 5. There were some scenes that were outrageous to me. Examples when the journalist broke into the house, she stole a file. I think that was like almost impossible. Stellar acting all around from the main character Richard Mofe-Damijo. I didn't expect anything less. Sam Dede. In fact, the entire veterans in this movie.
I feel like this was only veteran actors that did it for me.
The veteran actors did it.
Just effortless in their thing. They all did like really well. I cannot even deny that fact. This movie is okay. I think I'll give it 4 stars because I was hooked at the beginning, but at some point they started to lose me out. I felt like they wanted to push a lot of lessons, and these lessons are true and people can relate to them, but at the same time sometimes it was not just there. I think I was entertained in it.
I'll say it's okay.
The actions were okay. There were not a lot of stunts if you are expecting to see Richard in action. Just a few times that he was just
erased in some places, and yeah, but I was hoping to see more. Like him beating up a lot of people, but we'll make do what we have. It's fine. So if you know you love movies, we do all things movies on this channel. You should definitely like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Tell us what you think about the Black Book, and tell us if you plan on seeing this thriller.